My calling to the religious life was a very, very long, slow, and convoluted one. It started when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I was growing up in Georgia. I was a Southern Baptist, and it had one of the aspects that I tell people that callings often have, which was it was out of left field. I was not a Roman Catholic. Nobody in my family back to the 17th century were Roman Catholics. They're all English. And so my desire to be a nun was laughed at. I was told it was crazy, just forget about that. Also, as a Southern female, I was told that becoming a nun was absolutely not in the picture because I had to get married and have children. At that time, in the late 60s, when I was born, women were told a word that I absolutely hate. You have to become a homemaker. And my mother was told that. And so she was disappointed in her life. She could have been an artist, she could have been an engineer, architect, very, very brilliant and talented. But she was not encouraged to go to college or anything like that because her only possibility in life was to be a homemaker. And I did not want to do that. I didn't want to be a homemaker. I was very curious about the world. I wanted to get out of the South and experience things and get an education and have a career. So the whole calling to be a nun, I had to keep it secret, and I couldn't really talk to even my friends about it because my friends were all of the mind that we had to become homemakers. And so over the years, people really started to actually convince me that becoming a nun was a bad idea, that it was psychologically unhealthy, that there was a lot of repression and suppression. My mother would say, those women who become nuns are very angry and unhappy. Their lives are unfulfilled because the only fulfillment that a woman could reach is to have children. So over the years, I buried it very deep. I stopped going to church when I was 18 to like age 28. I got into acting, which got me into the entertainment industry. I worked in entertainment advertising in Los Angeles for over 20 years as a photo editor, but I was deeply unhappy. I even got married. I was married for 2 years, deeply unhappy in the marriage. And when the internet came about and I could email people, I started emailing Catholic nuns because I was way too shy to call them. And I didn't want to write an old-fashioned letter. I wrote a letter to Dolores Hart, who is the prioress at Regina Laudis Convent, because I had heard her story about leaving her career as an actress in Hollywood. She made movies with Elvis Presley and other people like that. And she left it all behind to become a nun. So she wrote me back and she said in her letter, there is no hiding from what the hand of God presents to us. And that really kind of changed my life because I thought I've been hiding my whole life. I was in a very unhappy marriage. I was miserable in my career, even though everything looked perfect from the outside. I was deeply unfulfilled. And I didn't want to have children, and people were calling me selfish and immature. So I asked one of the Roman Catholic nuns, do you think there's any way that the Catholic Church would change its stance on women's ordination, on reproductive freedom, on LGBTQ inclusivity? And she said, probably not for another 500 years, but you sound like an Episcopalian. And I said, well, that's too bad the Episcopal Church doesn't have nuns. And she said, oh, yes, they do. That changed my life. So two Catholic nuns changed my life. And I went to the rector at All Saints Beverly Hills, Carol Anderson, and she took me very seriously. We started the formal process of discernment, which included my priest, my therapist, a group of people at church. We formed a discernment committee because many of them were in discernment to become priests. And that process really helped me. I didn't decide in a vacuum. I decided with a group, which is what's so wonderful about Christian discernment. It took me years and years, and finally I joined the convent when I was 46 years old. And I have never regretted it, not one single day. I've been a nun since 2012. I'm very, very happy and fulfilled in my life. I am not a homemaker. I am a I am a teacher. I'm a preacher. I lead retreats. I'm a spiritual director. And all these things really give me a very, very deep happiness, a deep joy and fulfillment. If you're really called to this life, that is what it gives you in return. So I highly commend those who are searching.